public comment for us. We're going to reopen the public hearing at 10:11 a.m.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Anything specific I need to know? I wasn't sure if you were still doing it, but as far as rules, or just start talking.
Laura,
Yeah, go ahead and just give us. Yes.
Laura, can you read through the introduction for Daniel?
Sure.
So
Give me
he
one
has all
moment.
the information that everyone else had.
Sure. Let me pull that open, Daniel. Give me one moment. We had just moved and good morning. This rulemaking hearing is now in session and being recorded to maintain a permanent record. My name is Laura Kardokis, Executive Director for the Oregon Board of Tax Practitioners, and I'll be serving as OBTP's hearing officer during today's rulemaking hearing. The purpose of today's rulemaking hearing is to take public comment on the new and amended proposed rules that were published in the Oregon Secretary of State Bulletin on March 1st, 2025. Please take note that board staff will not, during today's rulemaking hearing, answer any questions related to the substance of the proposed rules. Board staff are permitted only to answer questions relating to today's hearing procedures. Today's hearing is being held hybridly. So we will take your comments. We will do 5 minutes for your oral testimony. I will set a timer for you when you comment, and then we had this open for in person as well, and we didn't have anybody, Daniel. So I'm alternating between that information. Please make sure to mention your name, where you preside, if you're representing yourself or organization before you comment. And then if you're still wanting to make a comment, a written comment, you still can do that. The rulemaking hearing, when it closes today, there'll still be time to file those written comments with us through Monday, May 5th, 2025 at 5 p.m. Anything received after that date, even postmarked before that date, will not be included in the comment packet presented to the board. Comments can be mailed to us first class to the attention of the Executive Director at 200 Hawthorne Avenue, Southeast, Suite D450, Salem, Oregon 97301. They can be emailed to me at tax.bd@tax.oregon.gov, or they can be faxed to the attention of the Executive Director at 503-585-5797. Or they can be hand delivered to the board in person during regular business hours, which are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're in office Tuesdays and Wednesdays, or by appointment at the same location, 200 Hawthorne Avenue Southeast, Suite D450, Salem, Oregon 97301. Comments received after the May 5th, 2025, 5 p.m. will not be considered following closure of the written comment period, and OBTP members will be permitted to review all oral and written comments and the hearing officer's summary report on all oral and written comments, including answers to questions posed therein. Thereafter, the board will meet to discuss the amend and proposed rules at its next regularly scheduled board meeting. When the board's discussion at the board meeting are complete, the board will vote as to whether to adopt, amend, or repeal the proposed and individual rule changes contained in the Secretary of State's March 1st, 2025 bulletin publication. Thank you for coming and appearing and providing us with your comments. And you may go ahead and I will get your 5 minutes here started for you, Daniel.
Okay. Ready?
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So I just want to comment on a couple of things. Thank you again for letting me come in late. I had an appointment earlier. The first comment is going to be on the 800-002-0000. I would like to kind of point out that your statutory authorization to do that from ORS 673.615, I don't see it there. The only way to read that the board can regulate out-of-state tax preparers is to read words that into the statute that are not there. And that, of course, can open you up to a lawsuit. And just a reminder to the board that if the board loses, they get to pay the attorney's fees. I know that because I've experienced that before. So that's the one thing about that. The second thing about that, which isn't really a legal matter, but well, there's also other legal matters that could go into that, but we'll let your attorney figure that out. It's really not a good idea to try to sit there and regulate every tax preparer in the whole United States that runs across any Oregon-based income. I don't think it's very practical. You got a very small board and have a hard time even policing tax preparation in Oregon itself, and then to try to go after the guy that got a K, that lives in Tennessee, that got a K1 that has income derived from Oregon, is just an impracticality. And if you get enough people mad enough, then other states will require licenses in their state, and then pretty soon no one can prepare any returns at all because people go across the state. So that is one of my comments. The second thing is when the 800-110-0041 and 0042, it mentions that we have 15 days to respond to anything from the Board of Tax Practitioners. I just think it's a terrible thing to not be able to take a vacation longer than 2 weeks, because if I take a vacation longer than 2 weeks, I'm going to miss that deadline if you send me a letter during that week. And I think that 30 days is much more practical for a response than 15 days, because basically punishes people that goes on vacation. So there's that. On paragraph 800-010-0045, that says a licensee must not prepare tax return to give advice that's outside the field of licensed experience and competence without first seeking since a person who's competent in the area of concern. I think that's an impractical regulation, because many times there is nobody that you can ask to that is competent in that matter, and that often happens whenever a new tax law is passed. There is nobody, there is no expert. There's also many times where the only way to get expertise is do lots of research, which it doesn't involve asking people. It asks going to doing research. In one case I went through 2 IRS appeals officers and 2 IRS attorneys before any of them even knew what the tax code involved was. If I had to ask somebody as a requirement before I proceeded in that case, there would have been no case that could be made, because there was really no one to ask on those. And so a lot of issues, there is just no one to ask. And I just wanted to do a repeating comment I have about 800-015-0020. The Board of Tax Practitioners does not allow practice management as part of their continuing education, and that I deal with people who make mistakes doing tax preparation, people who are licensed by the Board of Tax Practitioners make mistakes that cost clients sometimes hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. These are not small mistakes, these are very big mistakes, and almost all the mistakes I see can be traced back to incorrect practice management. It's one thing to be able to do one return completely correct and have that technical knowledge. It's a whole nother thing to do 400 returns correctly, and it's pretty much impossible to do without good practice management and software management. So those are the comments I have about the particular rules, and so thank you for your time.
Thanks. I'm going to turn I had to get everything organized because I'd moved my
Sorry for coming in late.
computer. That's okay.
That was my comment.
We are open till noon, and I just had made a mistake by closing out because there was no more participants at the time, but I wasn't thinking. So we are open till noon. So we opened back up for anybody joining. So apologies for that interruption. Thank you for joining in your comments.
Okay.
So you can still submit your written testimony if you choose to through May 5th.
Okay. I'll do that, and I can email that to you, right? I think you can.
Yes, you can.
You gave the email there, so I can do that to make sure it gets there by the deadline if I do that. But yeah, thanks for opening up for me, and I think I'll sign out then.
No
Okay.
problem. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.